Hello everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to review the third week of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, covering days 8, 9, 10 and 11. Now at the time of making this video, all testimonies and examinations have been closed for the week, the 25th to the 28th of April 2022. Now you can check out my previous coverage of the trial so far concerning both the first and second weeks, and I will leave some links within the description as well. So we began the first day with the final day of Johnny's testimony, and this was of course the cross-examination, where once again we had Johnny very much facing off against Ben Rottenborn. And this segment of the trial we had some very intense audio clips of more arguments between Johnny and Amber. Once again, these clips very much confirmed the narrative that we had seen already throughout the evidence, where Johnny was clearly the person who wanted to leave the arguments and de-escalate the conflict, whilst Amber was the one who was far more the aggressor. Now these clips had already been released much more long-term form online, but during this cross-examination all of the clips are very truncated and very short and had no real consistency or through line in terms of the argument that Rottenborn was trying to build overall. So in one sense it proved to be very frustrating, because you were questioning where exactly was the lawyer going in terms of his line of questioning. Now whilst these clips did indeed show Johnny very much insulting Amber as much as she did him, there was no real context to these overall questions, so it seemed very much like Rottenborn was just cherry picking and trying to just bring up moments when Johnny was shouting at Amber and insulting her, to once again present this whole idea that along with his drug and alcohol use, that Johnny was indeed capable of abusing Amber. We then proceeded to the redirect for Johnny, and I think overall he finished his testimony very strong, once again emphasising that he wasn't the abuser of Amber and that he felt like he was very much the victim in many sense, very much contradicting the statements that was made within the op-ed article. So I think that was a very strong note to finish overall, and I noticed as well that Rottenborn was constantly coming up with objections throughout this testimony. I think at one stage he actually objected to himself, and that's been very much referenced to throughout the internet. So again, it just emphasises that I believe that Amber's team are just fishing for anything that they can latch onto in order to desecrate Johnny's character. So Johnny finished his testimony very strong, I felt, at the end of this day. We then went on to the next testimony, which was by Ben King, who was the house manager for Johnny and Amber. He looked after the couple in 2014. And during his testimony, he talked about witnessing the severed finger of Johnny during the incident in the argument in Australia, whereas we all know Amber threw a bottle of vodka which shattered and ended up severing Johnny's hand within the bathroom. Now Ben King described his overall activities as he was witnessing all of the carnage surrounding the incident, and to be honest I didn't find a lot of relevance towards this overall statement, as we've already gone over the incident and we know very much about the severed finger and also the paint and blood on the mirror as well, so it didn't really add anything given his overall perspective, though he did raise some eyebrows when he referred to more arguments between Amber and Johnny, and he stated that Amber was behaving very much like a sport teenage child and that she was constantly hysterical and crying during these phases. So once again this is consistent with the overall narrative that Amber is very much the aggressor. We then move on to day 9, which started with a testimony from Tara Roberts, who was the Bahamas estate manager for Johnny Depp, and to be honest there wasn't really a lot in terms of interest throughout this testimony. We had some video footage which was being shown around, again describing the argument, which involved Amber telling Johnny that he was a washed up actor and that he'll die a fat, lonely man. Now Tara did also state that Johnny had a bruise on his nose when in another argument that Amber hit him with a can overall. So again this is just further backing up to what we know already in terms of the aggressiveness of Amber. Now the far more interesting testimony throughout this day was that of clinical and forensic psychologist Dr Shannon Curry. Now she was contacted by Johnny Depp's team to assess Amber Heard's mental health on the 10th and 17th of December 2021. Now this is a very lengthy testimony. Now Shannon came across as a very smart, savvy, confident personality. Alongside her attractiveness, she instantly appealed to both the jury and other viewers watching this trial. Now she spent the beginning of her testimony very much talking about her extensive qualifications and explaining the definitions of personalities and disorders, which I guess was by design really, because they wanted her to confirm her credibility as an expert within her field. Now we did get far more interesting statements when Shannon stated that Amber was grossly exaggerating symptoms of PTSD and that there was no evidence to support that she was actually suffering from the condition. Now during her testimony she stated that following her tests she determined that Amber was at least 98% level of extreme exaggeration in terms of her overall condition. Now this will be very key in the overall case, because it will not only determine as to whether Amber actually suffered any abuse from Johnny, but will also bring up the op-ed article itself into question, and perhaps maybe Amber could have exaggerated certain things in what was said within the article. And it was also very entertaining seeing the back and forth between Shannon and Amber's lawyer Elaine Bredenhoft, who is a very abrasive and very aggressive personality in terms of her questioning the witnesses. And it was so good to see how Shannon was able to easily fend her off. Now, for some reason, Elaine was taking issue with the fact that Shannon had dinner with Johnny Depp and his team when she was hired to assess Amber. Now, Shannon rightly stated that this was an insignificant issue. Now, there was a very funny issue during his testimony when Elaine was bringing up the fact that somebody had brought muffins down during the meeting with Amber. I don't know why she took issue with this, and even Shannon rightly pointed this out as to really what was the point of all of this. Why did it matter who brought the muffins, whether it was Shannon or her husband, towards Amber? It had no bearing or significance at all. But despite all of that, this was a very good testimony. Now, the one question I do ask is, will Amber's supposed disorder be used as some sort of reason or excuse if her team feel that she's actually losing the case? And when it comes to the overall ruling, will they actually decide that the reason that there are certain discrepancies in the op-ed article is because more that Amber was suffering from some sort of personality disorder rather than actually fabricating certain lies? Will Amber talk about that more at length when she comes to the stand, and will that be used as a tactic to try and gain more sympathy from the jury? We'll wait and see overall. But it was a very good testimony and by far one of the most interesting segments throughout this week. Now, after that, we had a succession of testimonies from police officers who were named Tyler Haddon, William Gatlin and Melissa Sares, and these are all pre-recorded testimonies regarding a call concerning domestic violence in the penthouse back in May 21st, 2016. This concerned when the police visited the penthouse and had conversations with Amber over what had happened. The incident was sparked off when reportedly a friend had called the police to report that Amber was being assaulted by Johnny. We also had video footage of body cams showing that there were no damages to the overall penthouse when the police were surveying the area. Now, all three officers confirmed that there were no signs of abuse or violence or any physical damage concerning Amber when she had conversations with them. Again, this is very much consistent with all of the other witnesses that we've seen throughout the trial so far. And once again, these pre-recorded videos were very lengthy and not very watchable, but I guess it was important to establish that we had multiple witnesses confirming that there were no signs of abuse. We then had what was probably the most hilarious and comedic testimony, and that was the one made by Johnny Depp's doorman Alejandro Romero, who amazingly recorded his deposition within his car. Now, like so many witnesses, he confirmed that there was no sign of abuse during his interactions with Amber. Now, Elaine again was pressing very much so on whether he saw any damage around Amber's face. He confirmed no. Elaine was bringing up again the fact that Alejandro would have had no knowledge over the type of makeup that Amber was wearing and whether it would have concealed any marks or not. Again, very pointless, and Alejandro rightly stated that he would have had no knowledge at all. He wasn't even looking at Amber deliberately for any signs of abuse. He was just casually looking at her as if he was having a normal conversation. Another incident that brought about a lot of laughs within the trial was when Amber reported to Alejandro that she felt that there was a supposed intruder due to scratches on the front door, but Alejandro confirmed that there was no way that this could have been caused by somebody and that they were actually caused by the dog. So whilst this caused a lot of comedy, it once again backs up the fact that maybe Amber was seeing things that she didn't, again tying back to the potential personality disorder. Now, as a witness, Alejandro came across as very likeable and honest, which again was a good sign for Johnny, and we had an absolutely funny moment when he stated that he had enough of the whole issue and later actually started driving in his car whilst he was giving a testimony, and even a judge had stated that she had never seen this type of event before. So it was a very light-hearted moment, very good and comedic, and very much broke up the tone and added some sort of liveliness in terms of watching this trial. Now, the last prominent testimony of this day was that of Christian Carino, who was a talent agent who had previously worked with both Johnny and Amber. Now, there wasn't too much in terms of revelations here, but he did refer to the fact that he had set up some sort of reconciliation between Johnny and Amber, and this was around the period when Amber had originally filed a restraining order against Johnny, and this was back when the allegations first surfaced within media attention. Now, Christian had arranged a meeting between the two in San Francisco in 2016. Then later on, all three individuals went back to a hotel when the couple started arguing once more. Now, Christian also confirmed that Amber was indeed dating multi-billionaire Elon Musk, and we were already well aware of this within social media. Now, he stated that he wasn't aware of any role that Johnny had lost before he was employed by him. but he did confirm that he had conversations with the Pirates movie's producer, Jerry Bruckheimer, concerning Johnny's role when the article was presented within the media. And after conversations with both the studios and executives, he definitely felt that Johnny had lost the role of Pirate 6 because of the accusations made by Amber within the article. Now this is a very key statement, again, because it ties to the defamation accusation that the op-ed article had affected Johnny's career. And I suppose it would have been even more ideal for Johnny if we indeed had some sort of interview with a Warner Brothers executive or some sort of email which confirmed that Johnny had very much been ousted of the role because of the accusations that was being made. Now this is probably not feasible at the time, and let's be honest here, there's no way that Warner Brothers would have disclosed that type of information, because it would have put themselves under more scrutiny, especially when you consider that Johnny didn't actually face any criminal convictions regarding the allegations. We then go on to day 11, which was probably the least watchable and probably the most tedious segment of the trial, and this is where we spoke to Terence Doherty, who was the CEO of the ACLU, that's the American Civil Liberty Union, and this is one of the charity functions that Amber had promised that she would make donations from her settlement of the divorce with Johnny. Now during this testament, Terence had confirmed that the charity had only received half of the agreed $3.5 million that Amber has stated that she was going to donate to the charity. So once again, this is not a good look for Amber because it calls into question her overall character. If she's not completely telling the truth about donating to charity, then what else is she lying about? Now the far more revealing testimony was made by Johnny's business manager Edward White, who was also an accountant and was involved in a divorce settlement and the payment negotiations during the divorce. Now according to his testimony, Amber wanted $7 million plus $500,000 paid to her attorneys, including all additional liabilities. Edward White stated that when you totaled up all of these liabilities, the final sum that Amber was demanding came up to $14 million, and also that Amber had wanted this amount tax-free. Now Ben Wattenberg was constantly objecting whilst Edward was giving his testimony here. Now I look at this as the fact that Amber's legal team were very worried at this stage, because from all of the figures that Edward White was presenting here, it was again giving that impression that Amber was very much a gold digger, which never looks good considering that the couple had only been married for around 15 months. Now Edward White continued to outline more payments and statements, and he stated that it was proposed that the settlement pay was made directly to the charities, both the Children's Hospital and the ACLU, again fitting into what Amber had promised that she would donate to charities. Now it turns out that Amber had wanted these payments paid to her directly. He also revealed that Johnny asked for 2 payments of $100,000 to be made to both the ACLU and also the Children's Hospital. Now this statement supports what Johnny already revealed previously within the trial, that he had indeed made payments on Amber's behalf. Now Edward White had confirmed that in terms of total payments received, Amber was paid $4.5 million in 2017 and then a further $2.3 million in 2018, resulting in the final sum of $6.8 million that was paid to her. Now whilst this doesn't prove anything in terms of the overall article and defamation, it does again paint a very negative light on Amber's character overall, and it was even more damaging because we were actually being presented with actual facts and figures rather than hearsay or witness perspective. And Edward White was actually a change from other witnesses who were struggling to recall what actually went on. He very much had a clear-cut memory of all of the figures, so he came across as a very credible witness. So I think this testimony was potentially very damaging to Amber in terms of presenting her overall character. Now we did have further testimonies afterwards, and they weren't really anything of real note. Again, just people who were employed by Johnny describing what they had seen, again confirming that they hadn't seen any signs of abuse or damage suffered by Amber. So overall, in terms of this week, I think it was a very good week for Johnny. It started off very well in terms of his own final testimony, especially the section of the redirect. I think it was quite damaging for Amber this week, especially when we talk about the testimonies given by Dr. Shannon Curry, and also in terms of the payments that were described by Edward White as well. So there are definitely questions in terms of Amber's own character. Now I'm not sure when her witnesses will begin. Maybe it will be this week, as we have completed 3 weeks now, so you'd think half and half. We should surely start seeing her own witness testimonies being brought to the stand, and I'm sure like me and everybody else, we are all eagerly anticipating when Amber takes to the stand herself, and will she be asked to question all of the intense audio clips alongside the assessment given by Shannon Curry, and also regarding the payments that weren't made to the overall charities. That will be absolutely fascinating and very key in terms of building Amber's character and overall convincing the jury as to whether she has any integrity in terms of her character and also of the op-ed article itself. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on the third week of the trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you feel that there are certain segments that are going on far longer than what they should do? They did race through the witness testimonies a lot quicker this week, as I mentioned before, but do you feel we're still getting pointless questions and that they really need to pick up the pace? And do you find certain segments of the trial a bit long now? I've seen certain coverage where people are starting to get a bit drained, that the trial is perhaps going on far longer than what it should do. And as I mentioned before, we are now just waiting for Amber to take the stand, and that's when we should really get some massive dramatic material as to seeing how she reacts into the certain evidence that was given overall. So as I mentioned, within this channel, I will continue to cover this trial on a weekly basis, as it's far more easier for me to collate all the information and give it in far more detailed summary overall. But let me know in the comments what you think about this trial, and if you'd like to see me continue it in providing these weekly summaries as well within the channel. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay in safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.